The summoned creature looked at Armek, and it immediately approached him and rubbed itself on him. Animals usually do this, especially when they like their owners, and I think this is the same case for Tsukasa. His attention was then diverted when he heard Loki laughing out loud upon seeing their interaction. By the way, if you haven't watched the previous episodes yet, please be sure to catch up on those first. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Tsukasa awkwardly greeted his new companion. While looking at it, he wondered if this is the same Fenrir that he fought in the mythic rank dungeon. Although it's small, he could still see the resemblance in them. But before he could really confirm this, the horde of goblins was on their way to attack them. Boy forgot they were in the middle of a fight. For starters, we'll call the summoned creature as Lil Fenrir. Lil Fenrir barked its way towards the monsters, and then it released a dark slash. It's the Varnigan skill. The weak goblins had no way of dodging this fatal attack, and when it hit them, it caused a massive explosion. Tsukasa was thrilled as he witnessed what just happened. Lil Fenrir has some guts in it. It wagged its tail upon seeing its master satisfied. Armek then patted its head. He asked Lil Fenrir if it would be willing to fight along his side, and of course, it barked and liked the idea. The Goblin King got jealous because Armek was able to summon a cute underling unlike him who could only summon ugly goblins, so it roared once again. Tsukasa assigned Lil Fenrir to take care of the goblins. The Goblin King dashed instantly to attack them, and that was the same for these two. Lil Fenrir leapt and was about to bite the shit out of these enraged goblins. And at the same time, its master will now have a great time battling the Goblin King one-on-one. The Goblin King immediately raised its club. Just by the looks of it, this will really be a powerful attack. It hit the ground and caused debris flying. Tsukasa didn't dodge the attack and was forced to just block it using his sword. He then gathered his strength and exclaimed while trying to deflect the attack. And a few seconds later, he had finally pushed back the Goblin King. That gave him enough time to find the weakness of this huge-ass goblin. His eyes locked on its legs. Tsukasa immediately slashed them. It made the Goblin King lose its balance, and it tumbled to the ground. It groaned in pain and was about to call its lackeys for some assistance. But its eyes widened as he saw what was in front of him. Lil Fenrir had already defeated all of the goblins that it summoned a while ago. There was already a mountain of corpses lying in front of it. Tsukasa sighed and raised his sword. This is the best time to end the freaking battle. His sword pierced right through the Goblin King's head. But since this is a boss monster, it was not enough to kill it. Tsukasa then backed off while calling off Lil Fenrir to finish the job. Our boy leapt and gathered dark lightning around its body. Lil Fenrir unleashed Varnagand, and it was a direct hit. And to finish things off, Tsukasa also leapt at the same time while preparing his attack. Armek delivered the final blow to the boss monster. A few seconds later, the body of the Goblin King slowly faded away. Tsukasa stood right in the middle of the boss's room while this happened. A black magic stone was also dropped. Loki got his attention as she praised Tsukasa's idea of using the summon underling's skill against the Goblin King, but she reminded him to not get cocky just because he defeated a beginner-ranked dungeon boss. Tsukasa already knew that. While looking at the magic stone that the boss monster dropped, he thought that even if it was only a beginner-ranked dungeon, he still managed to clear it solo, and he planned on getting stronger until someday he could also clear a mythic rank 1. Loki then asked Armek what name he would give to Lil Fenrir. Tsukasa tried thinking about it for a bit, and a few moments later, he thought of the name Lufin. Upon hearing that, the face of the Fenrir brightened up. I guess it liked it more than Lil Fenrir. Tsukasa then patted its head while telling them that they should call this a day already. They still need to trade in the magic stones and buy something tasty for Mayu. Loki followed Armek and told him that she wanted to eat some sweets, too. Later that day, Tsukasa was already in the JDMO to exchange the magic stones, and the lady couldn't believe that he managed to clear a dungeon solo. As proof, Armek showed her the magic stone that he got from it. He told her that he would want to exchange it for cash. The lady got wary of him while thinking how a level 4 adventurer got allowed to enter a dungeon solo. She answered Tsukasa and requested for a minute while exchanging the magic stone for cash. Tsukasa awkwardly thanked her. This loser may have forgotten that they just hypnotized their way inside the dungeon. After the transaction, Tsukasa was about to leave the place, but he happened to see a bunch of people gathered around. It got his attention and decided to check what was happening. The crowd was looking at a bunch of guys talking to a lady. These fuckers seemed to be forcing the person named Hashigane to team up with them. Hashigane had fair skin and long hair. Tsukasa stared at her while remembering important information about this person. He then figured out that this beautiful lady was none other than the #1 awakened Hashigane. Rin brushed off these thug-looking guys while telling them that she had no interest in them, and that caught them off guard. Tsukasa felt a second-hand embarrassment for them, as he thought that her answer was so harsh. But his smile faded as Rin noticed him and got his attention. All of the people around them were shocked as they looked at the person who caught Rin's eyes. Toto couldn't believe that it was Tsukasa. Armik tried looking left and right just to make sure he was really the one that Rin addressed. He tried to quickly escape the attention, but Rin followed him and called his name. He then told her that he didn't expect to run into her there, but Rin told him that she did. Turns out, she came here just for him. That made Arma confused. Rin revealed that she got a call from a receptionist she knew, and she was informed that there was an awakened who entered a dungeon alone while only being level 4. She leaned closer to Armek while telling him that Tsukasa may have already known who she was talking about. Hashigane Rin. She's in the same class as the Make and To Do and is the #1 student at Tenjetsu Academy, the school for awakened. Combine that with her good looks, and the media was all over her. But to him, she's just a girl who's way out of my league. Rin said she was told there was an awakened who entered a dungeon alone while only being level 4. She's sure he already knows who she's talking about, right, Kisaragi-kun? He pondered the receptionist probably told her after the effects of wordplay wore off. He said, I guess it was a mistake to force my way into the dungeon like that. She said if it's hard to explain, you could show me your D card instead. Unless there's something on there that you can't show me? Mick looked awkwardly at her. She asked what's that look for? You are not actually hiding something, are you? Mick was going to say I'm not being seduced, but he controlled his mouth and said shoot. She confused. He said nothing, I just have to show you my D card, right? Then he was going to show his card, but at that time a group of people came and someone said long time no see. Our Mick was shocked and mentioned his name To Do. One said Kisaragi, I heard you made it out safely. It's great to see you again, Kisaragi. Another one said, yeah, we are glad to see you safe and sound. Another one said I'd expect no less from one of our parts of members. Rin looked at his tensed face. He asked Rin one more time, won't you join us? We'll be the strongest party. She just ignored and continued to ask Kisaragi, could you please show me your D card now? He gave and she saw the card. She said she had a hunch, but it really was you. And you cleared it solo at that. Pretty impressive. They were shocked and asked what? Did he clear a dungeon? She gave him back his card and said you leveled up by a lot. I guess that's natural if you defeated the boss. He pondered, thank goodness he updated the info on his fake D card. She said clearing a dungeon at a low level, she didn't know he had so much hidden talent. Armik weirdly laughed and said it's all thanks to Loki Tough. He's lying, they said. There's no way in hell this guy cleared a dungeon solo. It's impossible for a failure with a garbage skill like him. I bet you cheated somehow, didn't you? I'll shut up about it if you just come clean. Rin got angry and said to Do-kun, are you serious? You know there's no way to forge a fake D card? Then she said to Kisaragi, since you're taking on dungeons solo, that means you're free, right? If you'd like, how about forming a party with me? We could go into a dungeon together sometime. Kisaragi and To Do were both shocked. To Do said, are you kidding me? Hashigane, are you insane? Why are you picking Kisaragi over me? Don't let him fool you. He doesn't have what it takes to clear a dungeon solo. Look, I won't hold anything against you for it. Team up with me, Hashigane. We could easily clear intermediate rank dungeons if you just. At that time she said, are you still not done talking yet? Kisaragi-kun cleared the dungeon on his own. It's an indisputable truth. I can't say the same for you, always fooling around with your friends. She leaned on Kisaragi's shoulder and said, I've never liked people like you. To Do-kun, he stunned. She said one last thing, it's not like I'm unaware of all the things you've done. Got it? To Do got angry and held Kisaragi's shirt and said, Kisaragi, you bitch. You weren't ratting me out to anyone, were you? Kisaragi in his mind thought he could make up an excuse or shake it off. But that's a pain. What should he do? To-do said don't go quiet, you little shit, and tried to punch him, but he pushed him back. To-do got angry and said you trying to make me look stupid. Then he used his power and tried to kill him. Kisaragi tried to calm down him, but he didn't listen. He attacked, and at that time Rin came and defended. She said, To-do-kun, do you have any idea what you are doing? It's forbidden to use skills outside of a dungeon. To-do said it's his fault, not mine. Kisaragi is the one who's lying out of his ass. Rin said she was amazed he was still able to say that with his head held high, and grabbed his hand and said, let's go, Kisaragi-kun. Kisaragi asked, wait, Hashigane-san, where are we going? To-do from behind tightened his fist and said he swore that he'd rip off that mask of him. Turned his eyes into red and said Hashigane is mine. This chapter starts with a beginner rank dungeon Kobold Settlement. The Kobold Settlement is a beginner rank dungeon with a recommended level of 15. Kisaragi followed Hashigane-san there as she asked. But what was she hoping to accomplish exactly? He asked, are you really okay with fighting them alone? Hashigane-san, she said, no problem whatsoever. Just watch my example first, Kisaragi-kun. Then the fight started, and those group of opponents attacked her. She finished them with a single blow with her sword. Kisaragi amazed. Her sword was beautifully glowing. She said, now it's your turn. Show me what you're capable of. He ran towards that enemy and attacked, but he couldn't hit him, and he defended and attacked back to Kisaragi, but he managed to jump back. Hashigane alerted, stay on guard. Kobolds are smart. Unlike goblins, there are two ways to take down a shield-bearing enemy. You can either break through the shield by force or use a feint to slip right past it. This time he attacked fast with more force, then he slashed the enemy's head. She pondered he was better than she thought. Maybe she really would invite him. She clapped and said, great work, Kisaragi-kun. He thanks her. She told since you did so well, she'll let you handle the big one. Kisaragi asked the big one. She blinked one eye with a smile and said the trial that stands before the boss room, the mini-boss. Then Kobold General level 15 with his many followers appeared in front of them. She said, we'll start by taking out the followers. Kisaragi-kun, he understood the command. They started the fight, smashing those enemies one by one, but those followers were increasing. The general attacked them, but they defended themselves. Kisaragi said, looks like there's no point in killing the followers. She said, you're quick on the uptake. What would you choose to do in this situation? He thought and told, take out the small fry in one fell swoop. Then focus on the main threat. She said, correct, now let's put that plan into action. They both started at the same time, killing them with super fast zigzag. While fighting, Kisaragi said, I know this isn't the best time to ask, but is your guild fine with you dungeon raiding with me? She said it's fine. She plans to quit from that guild anyway. Kisaragi shocked, but she told to save the chat for later. Let's finish this. Then she attacked the level 15 general. Kisaragi sliced his sword into his stomach, and he got bled. They are going to kill the general. She said to him, go on, she'll follow up. But suddenly they got attacked by other followers, so they had to back off. Hashigane got angry because they were so close. She said as if dealing with To-do wasn't enough of an annoyance already. Kisaragi looking her with a weird face. She brutally cut the head of one of the enemies by saying, what's his deal? Want to start a guild with me? As if jackass, if I am gonna have to constantly team up with him, I'll just do it solo instead. She was so angry, like burning in a fire. Kisaragi asked with a worried face, Hashigane-san, are you really going to leave your guild? He pondered that no way she'd leave Bloodshine just like that. That is the biggest guild out there. She said, yes, she is serious. It has its benefits, but it's a lot more trouble than it's worth. Just thinking about it is enough to piss me off. At that time, a group of enemies was coming to attack them. She said she'll use these guys to alleviate her stress. Now she's going to use her special attack. She said, my skill is a wide range attack. It becomes a bit weaker against a single target, but hear me stars and rain down. Then a vast cascade of fiery stars began to descend from the heavens. Kisaragi got shocked trying to protect himself and told, holy shit, so this is the power of the top youth. All of those enemies got killed. Now she feels refreshed. All that's left now is the final boss. Let's take a short break before that. They sat on a stone and started talking. Kisaragi asked, have you heard of the great hero before? She gave him a scroll. He said, wasn't he the first adventurer in Japan to clear a heroic rank dungeon? Then he tried to remember his name. She said his name was Michinaga Dejiro, but that's his old name. After he got married, he became a Hashigane. Then she said, he's my grandpa. This sword was something he gave me. And that's not all. Grandpa always told me all sorts of stories about the perilous journeys he's been on with his comrades to explore the unknown world, unfettered by anyone or anything. She wants to experience that sort of fairy tale adventure as well. He was listening carefully. That's why she's planning to start her own guild in the near future. Lend me your strength when that time comes. Kisaragi-kun, he said, if you're fine with having me, then I'd gladly. She stood and said, okay, that's enough chit-chat. We've rested long enough, so let's make our way to the boss room already. Then they went. After some time, they were finally there. He said, so that's the boss. Wait, there's someone here. To-do came and said, yo, you sure took your sweet time. I've been waiting for you, Hashigane. And looked at Kisaragi and said, for you also, you incompetent piece of shit. Hashigane-sen saw and said, what a coincidence. To-do-kun, what are you doing here? To-do said he was there to help out his irreplaceable friend. Kisaragi thought that was worthless coming from him. She was surprised and questioned about friends. To-do said he came to make sure his friends don't do anything rash. His father even provided them with new gear at his request. She asked, are you going to challenge the boss or not? First come, first serve, the right is yours. Although she hates letting them have it. Actually, the right to challenge the boss goes to whoever makes it there first. It's an unspoken rule among adventurers. To-do said, you bet he is. He'll prove to you that he's serious about aiming for the top. She's gonna see his true glory in action. To-do said while looking at Kisaragi, look. That brain-dead bullshitter is just staring at us like an idiot. Kisaragi just ignored it. She said it can't be helped. Let's just watch and see what they've got. Kisaragi replied to her, yeah, we can challenge the boss another time. Loki was watching all of these on the TV, and she got angry by watching that. Finally, the wait is over. The scene has come to Kobold King level 20, the boss of the Kobold settlement. Kobold King, in addition to possessing the same skills as the Goblin King, Summon Underling, it also possesses a powerful skill called Thundering Blade. To-do group arrived, and they were ready to fight. I hate to admit it, but To-do's group is without a doubt strong. They can definitely defeat the Kobold King. They killed those goblins. They attacked the Kobold King with fire. To-do said, you like what you see. Hashigane, this is my power. She didn't say anything. Suddenly, the Kobold King woke up. To-do shocked. King raged and shouted, and the interesting thing is he got leveled up to 25 as Berserk status. Then both were going to attack each other. But suddenly, he got a high shock wave out of nowhere. He was shouting in pain. Hashigane was tensed and didn't understand what just happened. Kisaragi got that the meaning of this must be Loki. Loki said it should be obvious. This is their punishment for getting in your way. To-do fell to the ground. He couldn't able to wake up. Kobold was going to kill him. To-do was shouting, stay away from me. Kobold was about to slash him with a sword. But at that time, Hashigane came and defended him with her sword. She said, amazed with King's strength. Loki asked Kisaragi, are you sure you can afford to stand still? She's going to be endangered too at this rate. Kisaragi ran and kicked him out. Now Hashigane is safe. Kisaragi told Hashigane to take To-do and the others away from there. He'll take it down. Then he drew his sword and stood in front of Kind. To-do said, stop fucking around. There's no way a piece of trash like him can beat it. Funny thing was To-do was not even able to walk properly at the time. He stood with the help of his friend. Hashigane said, all right, she'll leave it in your hands. Kisaragi-san, but don't push yourself. He replied in a mumble, I wish you'd keep these sorts of tricks to a minimum, god. Then his eye color changed to blue and said, come Lufin. Lufin came immediately. Everyone was surprised. To-do said, what the hell is that thing? For Hashigane, it was cute. She got happy. Kisaragi said, let's do this, and both ran for the fight. Kisaragi said, Lufin, you deal with the kobolds, and he attacked the king. But the king defended easily, and Kisaragi fell back. But now he got angry and blew his sword like a rumble of thunder that slashed his right shoulder. Kisaragi pondered whether was he able to copy Thundering Blade. And here we go. Skill Thundering Blade successfully copied the target's skill. Again, King came. Kisaragi said, go Lufin. Lufin launched a direct string attack that hit the king's chest. But still, he was able to fight. Now Kisaragi raised his sword and activated Thundering Blade skill. The skill has one more effect aside from its weapon buff. The second effect was to harness the power of lightning to unleash an AO attack. Stuns any targets hit. He ran toward the king and stabbed him by saying this ends. King got a heavy thunder strike in his body. He shouted in pain. Hashigane was stunned by seeing that. Kisaragi came with Bluestone and said it's over Hashigane-san. She said good work to him, but she pondered by looking at Kisaragi. Who exactly is he? Loki was doing her best to convince Kisaragi to skip school and explore a dungeon instead, arguing it would be a much better use of time. But Kisaragi insisted he had to attend school first because it was necessary for dungeon exploration. He mentioned there was valuable dungeon-related information available at school and hoped to find clues about who might have cursed Mayu. Loki, intrigued by something happening at the academy, responded, do as you see fit. Kisaragi then asked if Loki was leaving, to which she replied she would be enjoying the show. Kisaragi proceeded to Tenjetsu Academy. As he entered his classroom, everyone seemed shocked. They whispered amongst themselves, speculating that they had thought Kisaragi was dead. There was a sense that they had written him off as a failure who would keep trying to become an adventurer, he suspected Tadeu. Hashigane greeted him and wished him good morning, thanking him again for their practice session the day before. Kisaragi reciprocated, expressing his gratitude for the invaluable practice. Hashigane then suggested tackling the intermediate rank dungeon, Abode of the Dead, for their next adventure. Reflecting on the previous night's events, she admitted she still didn't know the extent of Kisaragi's abilities and was determined to uncover his secrets. However, Kisaragi had already sensed her suspicions. He regretted being too conspicuous, showcasing his skills so openly in front of her. Meanwhile, others in the classroom were gossiping about why Hashigane was being so friendly with Kisaragi, whom they considered a failure. They thought she was crazy for considering entering a dungeon with him. Hashigane then asked Kisaragi if he was free later that day to embark on their dungeon expedition right after school. Just then, Tadeu entered the classroom. He looked at Kisaragi and told him he had some nerve showing up here. Hashigane retorted that she believed that was her line. He was the one with the nerve to confront them. They both glared angrily at each other as if they were ready to kill. Kisaragi hoped it wouldn't escalate into another problem. Tadeu then challenged Kisaragi to a fight, determined to expose his alleged lies to everyone. Tadeu questioned him. "You cleared a dungeon solo, didn't you? Don't tell me you're going to run away." Hashigane announced that Tsukasa accepted the challenge. Kisaragi thought to himself that he didn't want to attract any more attention than he already had. It was already too much of a hassle. Meanwhile, Loki was thoroughly enjoying the spectacle, using it to alleviate her boredom. She suggested Kisaragi tell Tadeu to bring along his buddies too, especially since they had interfered in the last dungeon. It was time to assert who was truly in charge. Kisaragi considered that dealing with another interference like before would indeed be annoying. Perhaps Loki was right. It might be best to settle things here and now. Confidently, Kisaragi declared that he would face Tadeu in the fight. "You can bring your two friends while we're at it. I'll take you all on," he asserted. "I don't want to hear any excuses when you lose. After all." Tadeu was visibly riled up by Kisaragi's words, feeling insulted by the confident challenge from someone he deemed incompetent. Loki interjected, "But there's no fun in just a plain old fight. How about we add a wager?" Kisaragi was intrigued by the idea of a wager. He proposed, "If I win, you'll let Hashigane-sen leave the guild and ensure the JDMO approves the registration of her new guild." Tadeu, addressing Kisaragi, asked, "As the JDMO's director, your father has the authority to do that, right?" Kisaragi clarified, "More than this, it's about supporting Hashigane-san's dream further." Hashigane felt grateful for his support. Tadeu turned red with anger and exclaimed, "You arrogant little shit, I'll take you down." The scene then shifted to the Tenjutsu Academy training ground, where a 1 versus 3 battle was about to unfold. Kisaragi issued a warning, stating that whoever fell or surrendered first would be the loser. He asked Tadeu if that condition was acceptable. Tadeu agreed confidently, stating, "Since you're gonna lose either way." Tadeu made his move, launching a fireball attack. Simultaneously, the second guy charged toward Kisaragi and delivered a heavy, intense punch aimed at the ground. Kisaragi deftly dodged the incoming attacks from Tadeu and his companions at the Tenjutsu Academy training ground. As he maneuvered to avoid a fireball and a heavy punch, a third adversary approached from behind, launching a thunderous attack aimed at Kisaragi's back. Reacting swiftly, Kisaragi raised his sword to block the incoming thunderbolt. Amidst the chaos, Tadeu returned, vowing to incinerate Kisaragi and delivering another fiery strike with his fist. The collision caused a massive explosion of flames, engulfing the area. Hashigane, watching in fear, called out to Kisaragi anxiously. Tadeu sneered, taunting Kisaragi, "Once a failure, always a failure. You'll regret this in the afterlife." However, emerging from the flames like a hero, Kisaragi defiantly declared, "Who said I was dead?" His resilience and determination shone through, marking a turning point in the intense confrontation at the training ground. As Kisaragi's skill, Copycat, activated, he successfully replicated the Herculean strength and thunderbolt abilities of his opponents. With newfound power at his disposal, Kisaragi addressed Loki, who was yawning dismissively. "I think those weak flames can beat you." "How laughable," Loki remarked. Kisaragi retorted to Loki, "I would have been in trouble if I weren't at a higher level." Loki ignored his comment and encouraged him. Don't lose now, Tsukasa. Taking charge of the battle, Kisaragi dashed with supersonic speed toward Yoshimura, one of his adversaries. He unleashed a high-intensity kick while airborne, causing massive destruction that made the ground tremble. The others, frightened by the display of power, shouted in shock at Yoshimura's condition. Kisaragi then redirected his focus towards Tadu, challenging him to bring the confrontation to an end. Kisaragi declared, "Let's put an end to this already." Tadu retorted, "Don't get ahead of yourself, you incompetent scum," Tadu snarled. He launched massive fireballs at Kisaragi, who deftly slashed them apart with his sword. A crowd gathered, watching in shock. One onlooker exclaimed, "Isn't he supposed to be a weakling?" Hashigane smiled, thinking, "This is like a walk in the park for Kisaragi-kun." Kisaragi taunted, "What's wrong? Tadu? Giving up already?" Hearing this, Tadu turned red with anger and shouted, "I'm gonna fucking kill you, Kisaragi." Kisaragi replied calmly, "You really shouldn't swear so much." Tadu fumed, "You think you're hot shit just because you beat Yoshimura?" Kisaragi said, "Let's cut the talk, come at me." Another opponent, Inu, appeared, shouting, "Go to hell, failure," and attacked with thunder. But Kisaragi dodged the attack in a flash and swiftly closed the distance to Inu. Kisaragi said, "You can go in my place," and activated Thunderbolt. Inu was struck heavily by the thunder and fell to the floor. Kisaragi then walked towards Tadu, saying, "You're the last one standing." Tadu pondered Kisaragi's imitate skill, which allowed him to copy the abilities of others. He copied Inu's Thunderbolt, but with its low success rate, he can only use the skill once before it's gone. His luck is about to run out. I'll show him the difference between our skills. Meanwhile, Loki was laughing. She thought, does he seriously still think he can win? How hilarious. She kept the fact that her skill had evolved a secret, unlike Copycat. The skills copied with imitation can only be used once. That's why I'll refrain from using Herculean Strength or Thunderbolt again. However, the painful ties from his past, he would sever them here and now. Tadu shouted, "Don't get cocky just because you beat them by a fluke." Kisaragi responded, "Is big talk all you're good at? It's fine to run away if you're scared." Tadu snarled, "That tongue of yours, I'll cut it straight out of your mouth." He charged at Kisaragi, and the sword fight began. Suddenly, with his other hand, Tadu fired a giant fireball at Kisaragi. The attack was powerful enough that no one could have survived. Everyone, including Hashigane, was stunned. Tadu sneered, "How did that taste, bitch?" Kisaragi emerged from the smoke and said, "Didn't you try the same thing earlier? Why don't you learn a new trick?" Tadu was shocked. "How are you alive?" Kisaragi replied, "Your skill didn't hit me." Tadu shouted, "Stop joking around. I hit you. There's no way you could have avoided it." Kisaragi explained, "Except that the explosion wasn't caused by your flames. It was caused by mine. You know what that means, don't you?" Tadu realized he copied my skill. But when did he copy it? Back then when I used Firestorm. Kisaragi said, "Let's bring this to a close," and ran towards Tadu. He activated Tadu's Firestorm skill and attacked him. Tadu tried to counterattack, but was unable to do anything. Kisaragi dodged, moved behind Tadu, and attacked, saying, "Too slow." Tadu looked behind with scared eyes and barely managed to dodge. After that, Tadu realized he had lost his flames. He thought he managed to copy his shill again. He said, "Kisaragi, I'll surrender." Kisaragi said, "Don't worry, I'll make sure it doesn't kill you," and flicked a small flame from his fingers. Tadu caught fire, shouted in agony, and kneeled down, losing all his strength. Kisaragi declared, "You lose, Tadu." Tadu said, "It can't be. How could I lose to a failure like you?" Kisaragi replied, "Keep your promise." Tadu nodded and then fell to the ground. A few days after the duel, with the help of Tadu's father, Hashigane-san was able to safely leave the Bloodshine Guild as planned. Together, they created their own guild. Hashigane said, "Well, since that's taken care of, shall we get going?" Kisaragi asked. "Where?" she replied. "To a dungeon, of course." Kisaragi asked. "Another beginner rank 1?" she said. "No, we'll try an intermediate rank dungeon. The Abode of the Dead. It's the perfect start to our new journey, don't you think?" Kisaragi asked. "For real?" She just laughed softly. The recommended level for entering the Abode of the Dead is level 25 or above. It's home to many troublesome undead-type monsters. If I let my guard down for even a second, I'll be dead meat. I'll have to be careful. "Why the long face, Kisaragi-kun?" Hashigane asked. He said, "Nothing. I was just thinking about how we should be vigilant." Then he called Lufin. Kisaragi said to Lufin, "We'll be counting on you, boy." Hashigane said, "So cute and precious." Kisaragi asked her, "Want to give him a hug?" Hashigane, excited, hugged Lufin. "I can't get enough of this fluffy sensation. This is true happiness." Hashigane said, "Getting back on track. Could you tell me more about him?" "Kisaragi-kun?" he said. His name is Lufin. He's a familiar that I summoned using a skill. Hashigane said, that sounds like a pretty useful skill. When and where did you copy it from? Exactly. Loki saw that and thought, she has sharp senses for a human. She has noticed the change in your skill. Is this really the time to be praising her? I have to throw her off my trail somehow. Kisaragi hesitated to answer. Hashigane noticed and said, you don't have to force yourself to answer. It's considered rude to pry into other skills. After all, I trust the two of you. You've got my back, right? She blinked her eye. Kisaragi said, leave it to me. Hashigane said, I'll be in your care, although you probably won't need to protect me anyway. Then they reached their destination. In front of them, they found a lot of undead soldiers, level 23, standing with swords. Hashigane said, I'll break through their ranks. Back me up. Kisaragi-kun, he said, wouldn't it be better to play it safe for now? Hashigane replied, don't worry, my sword is specially made for these guys. I'll show you what I mean. Then she ran toward the undead soldiers. She attacked with her sword, and with a single blow, they were all destroyed. Loki commented, that blade she's holding is a holy sword. It can slice through undead like butter. But the skeletons kept coming back to life. Kisaragi said, still, things will get dicey at this rate. Let's help her out, Lufin. Then they both attacked to help her. Kisaragi said, you pushed ahead too far. Hashigane-san, she replied, thanks for the support, Kisaragi-kun. Kisaragi said, I guess simply defeating them isn't enough. He slashed one's head off, but it respawned again. He said, they don't know when to give up. Kisaragi was soon surrounded by them and found himself in a bad situation. Loki asked, what are you doing? Hashigane came and slashed them, saying, it looks like you're struggling. Kisaragi-kun, I can't afford to have you exhausted already, so I'll help you out. Kisaragi asked, are you going to use your skills? Hashigane said, I hate to disappoint you, but not this time. I'll be using my sword instead. I'll show you a fraction of its power. She used her holy sword's power to shine forth, then attacked. The undead soldiers all turned to ash, and a lot of magic stones fell. Kisaragi said, that's the power of a holy sword. Hashigane said, all I did was let out some of the holy sword's radiance. It's like a wave of light. To take out small fries like those, that much is plenty. Anyway, could you collect the magic stones for me? I'll stay here and watch your back with Lufin, Hashigane said. She petted Lufin's head. Then they entered a place where a huge door stood. Hashigane said, we got here with plenty of energy to spare. All that's left is to take down the boss. Kisaragi asked, how should we go about fighting it? She said, don't worry, Kisaragi-kun. I've got an idea, he asked. What's the plan? Then she replied, just wait and see. I'll bring it down in one hit. They entered the door. The hall was full of skeletons, and a boss skeleton was sitting on a throne, an undead lord, level 38, with the skill undead creator, level 3. Kisaragi said, so this is what a boss fight in an intermediate rank dungeon is like. Loki laughed and replied, quite the spectacular view, isn't it? Kisaragi asked, could you tell me your strategy now, Hashigane-san? Hashigane said, I'll wipe them out with my skill. That's all there is to it. Kisaragi said, you're joking, right? She replied, I'm very serious. Against this boss, having a prolonged fight is actually a bad idea. Its skill, Undead Creator, is even more annoying than Summon Underling. Taking too long to defeat it will put us in a bad spot. Undead Creator, a skill that allows the user to freely create undead, is one of the strongest among all summon-type skills. My fully powered skill can wipe out all the minions as well as the boss, but it requires some time to charge. Kisaragi-kun, I'll need you to. He understood. He said, Lufin and I will buy you time. Lufin understood the task. Kisaragi confirmed again with Hashigane, don't mess this up. She said, who do you think you're talking to? I'll end this without a hitch. Kisaragi activated his skill, Flame Master. Then he and Lufin attacked the skeletons together. Loki said, those rabble were summoned with the boss's skill. They'll disappear after taking a certain amount of damage. Kisaragi asked, in that case, we just have to do the same as always, right? She replied, in this world, simple is best. Kisaragi activated the Thundering Blade skill and attacked. The Thunderstrike caused massive destruction among the skeletons. Then he ran toward the boss and tried to attack with his sword. But at that moment, 2 upper-level guards appeared and protected the boss with their swords. They struck at him. Kisaragi fell back. Meanwhile, Lufin was also attacking them. Then the boss's eyes turned pink, like a thunder effect. A dark aura spread all over the place. The low-level skeletons were affected and died. Kisaragi tensed up at the sight. He asked Loki, is this part of its skill? She said. It opted for quality over quantity. and laughed. "Its brains aren't half bad for a corpse," he said. "This is no laughing matter, Loki. To put it lightly, this situation is pretty bad," she said angrily. "Don't make me repeat myself, Tsukasa. Who is the true enemy you must defeat? Is it this mere undead lord? I don't think so." He said, "That's right. I can do it. Just watch me, Loki," she said. "Entertain me," he thought. "Wildly throwing my skills at it won't work." He created a fireball attack using his finger and threw it quickly to burn the enemies. Loki said, "Oh, you condensed the flames before releasing them. Not bad." Tsukasa, the boss skeleton, now had a hole in its chest. Kisaragi said, "It's a skill that manipulates flames. After all, using it creatively is important, right?" The boss fell to the ground. Even the other monsters were shaking in their boots, but their fear was their downfall. He attacked them using a whirl of flames. Then he called Hashigane. She thanked him and said, "I'm all ready to go now." Then she started activating her skill. It is said that a skill's power can be influenced by the user's mental image. It takes time and leaves their defense wide open. But the difference in strength can be worth the risk. A massive destruction followed. The area was completely demolished. Kisaragi was amazed. Loki said, "Amazing definitely sums it up." Kisaragi said, "So this is the power of our generation's #1 awakened." Hashigane said, "Well, mission complete." She carried a big blue stone and said, "It was a piece of cake thanks to you, Kisaragi-kun." He said, "I didn't do anything." "Really? I'll carry that for you." Loki taunted him. "All you did was buy time, after all." Hashigane said, "Now then, let's head back. I'd rather not stay in this moldy place any longer." Lufin suddenly started barking. They asked, "What's up?" "Lufin," Loki said, "stay on your toes." "Tsukasa, it looks like the fight isn't over yet." He panicked. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and a giant skeleton appeared. It was Archimon, level 50. They were stunned. Hashigane said, "Archimon Demon, what is an advanced rank boss doing here?" He dropped the blue stone. She said, "Kisaragi, come to me." Kisaragi saw she had a teleportation stone. Teleportation stones are items that can instantly transport you in an emergency. She activated the teleportation using that stone. Kisaragi and Lufin ran toward her. It's a valuable item, but using it was their only option at that time. After they entered, Hashigane started teleporting, but they could not teleport. Hashigane said, "Looks like fighting is our only option." Kisaragi asked, "Loki, is this also your doing?" Loki replied, "How cruel do you think I am? I may be a Spartan mentor, but I'd never spring such a nasty surprise on you. But it's clear that someone did this deliberately. They have some nerve." Kisaragi asked, "Are you saying we have to find a way to defeat this thing by ourselves?" Loki said, "That seems to be the case." Hashigane asked, "Are you all right?" Kisaragi-kun, he said, "I'm fine. There was just something on my mind." She smiled and said, "Spacing out at a time like this? How composed?" Kisaragi thought, "Composed? I wish I was." Meanwhile, the archdemon was coming toward them. She asked, "What's the plan?" "Kisaragi," he said, "how much longer until you can use your skill again?" She said, "About 5 minutes." Kisaragi replied, "Hashigane-san, you can stand back until your skill is ready to use." She said, "No, I'm going to fight with you," he said, "but if you do that, we could both be..." She interrupted him and asked, "Did you forget already? I have this sword by my side. We are going to make it out of this together." "Understood," he said. "Fine, but please don't do anything risky. We are going to need your skill in order to defeat this guy." The archdemon started attacking, but Kisaragi dodged. "You're a hasty one," Kisaragi said. "Calm down. We're weaker than you are. He isn't taking this seriously. He just wants to play with us. Torture is in bad taste." Kisaragi activated his Thunderblade skill and attacked, saying, "When a cat corners a rat, the cornered rat will bite back." But nothing happened. The archdemon destroyed the attack with a single hand. Kisaragi then activated the Flame Master skill and fired at the archdemon's chest, but it didn't even leave a scratch. Suddenly, from the side, Hashigane attacked with her sword. The archdemon's rib was torn, and he got unbalanced. She said, "I can do it." Her sword can pierce him. Then the archdemon threw lightning bolts. She sliced them with her sword and said, "These little sparks are nothing." Kisaragi shouted, "Hashigane, look out!" The archdemon moved so fast that she couldn't see him. He attacked, and she couldn't dodge, falling far away and bleeding from the impact. It was a really hard punch. Kisaragi was worried. She said, "I'm fine." but with that attack, she gained enough distance. She used her special skill with her sword. She released her power and closed in on the archdemon. 15. From every side, he was attacked, unable to do anything. Then she called Kisaragi. He was ready with his sword and ran to slice the archdemon in the middle of the body. Then he called Lufin. Lufin attacked with his fire skill. It caused massive destruction. The three of them waited to see if they had succeeded. She said, "We couldn't have done it more perfectly than that." The fire and dust slowly cleared, revealing the archdemon still standing. They were shocked. How is that possible? It didn't work. Loki said, "No, your attacks certainly had an effect. It simply recovered from the damage. High-ranking bosses all possess regenerative abilities." Kisaragi asked, "Then how are we supposed to beat it?" She said, "It's simple. Either you continuously deal damage until its healing can't keep up, or defeat it in a single strike." He asked, "A single strike? Would that be possible with Hashigane-san's skill? But we'd need more time until it's ready to use again." Then he made a request to Loki. "Please undo the seal on heavenly authority," she asked. "What are you talking about? The effects of the wordplay I used on you wore off long ago." "What did you say?" Hashigane called. "Kisaragi-kun," he said, "I have an idea." At that moment, the archdemon jumped into the air and activated thunder with one hand. They were stunned. What the hell? It hit the ground. Heavy destruction followed. Dust covered everything. Kisaragi said, "You truly are hasty," and activated his heavenly authority skill. He emerged from the destruction and said, "Time to dance, demon. This is where the real fight begins." Hashigane asked in shock, "What is that skill?" He said, "Hashigane-san, as soon as I give the signal, I want you to use your skill. I'll be counting on you." Heavenly authority had 60 seconds remaining. Kisaragi ran like a flash toward the archdemon and struck him with his sword. The archdemon tried to shield himself with his hand. Kisaragi kicked him forcefully, sending the demon flying. "I told you, didn't I? A cornered rat will bite a cat," Kisaragi said, then activated his Flame Master skill, and he attacked with a barrage of huge fireballs. They hit the archdemon, but it was still not enough. Kisaragi thought, as expected of an advanced rank enemy, even with heavenly authority active, it's not enough to just sling my skills at it. They faced off again. Kisaragi was running with his thunder skill while the demon was creating a fireball in its mouth. A massive fireball hurtled toward Kisaragi, but he dodged it and attacked the archdemon, saying, "You're pretty nimble for being so bulky," Loki reminded him. "Don't forget you're on a timer. Your body won't last if you try to use it again. You must settle this within the minute." Kisaragi activated his wordplay skill and thunderbolt skill. He then attacked with a massive thunder shock, followed by a huge fireball. He didn't stop attacking, continuously bombarding the archdemon. The demon couldn't keep up with the relentless onslaught. Kisaragi taunted, "I'm over here, slowpoke." He began slicing the demon's chest while Hashigane and Lufin watched. Kisaragi continued attacking. "It's not over yet. I need more damage to guarantee he goes down. Now here comes the final attack," he said, readying himself. He raised his sword and called out, "Hashigane, use your skill." She hesitated. "If I use it now, you'll be..." Kisaragi interrupted. "Just do it. Believe in me," she said. "Okay, fine. But don't blame me if this hurts." She activated her special skill, Turnanag, saying, "Rest in peace, demon." She attacked the demon, and Kisaragi joined in, striking at the same time. Massive destruction ensued, covering the area in smoke. Hashigane wondered, did we do it? More importantly, is Kisaragi okay? She then saw red eyes through the smoke. The demon emerged, angrier than ever. Hashigane was shocked. "No way, it still wasn't enough?" The demon roared furiously. Suddenly, the demon was bound by chains all over his body. Kisaragi raised his hand and said, "Hear me, stars." Activating the skill Turnanag. He had successfully copied Hashigane's skill. This happened during the final attack she released. Kisaragi pondered. Hashigane-san's skill is strong against a swarm of enemies, but against a single target, its firepower is dispersed and loses some of its strength. In that case, I should focus its power on a single strike. Then he finally released the special attack. Hashigane thought, not only did he copy my skill, but he also reformatted it into a single target attack. The archdemon screamed in pain and then died. Loki said, "You had me worried for a moment, but well done." Kisaragi replied, "That was too close for comfort," and took the big blue stone. Hashigane said, "I can't believe you were able to defeat even an archdemon. You saved both of our lives." "Kisaragi-kun," he replied with a smile, "I'm just glad things ended well. If that last attack didn't defeat him, I think we would have been goners." Hashigane thought, "When I'm with him, I feel like I can have the true adventure I've always longed for." They returned to JDMO. The receptionist said, "Congrats on clearing the dungeon. The clearance reward has been transferred to your account, so please confirm that it went through." He received 1,500,000 yen from the JDMO as a clearance reward. "Being an adventurer really is a dream come true," Loki remarked. "Now I can eat my fill of delicious food again." Kisaragi leveled up significantly from defeating the archdemon. Loki said, "You still have a ways to go before you can rival a god, though." Kisaragi asked, "Hashigane, are you sure about not reporting the archdemon?" She said, "It's fine. They would never believe me anyway. But tell me, Kisaragi, what's your real skill?" He guessed he couldn't hide it any longer. She said, "Everyone calls you an incompetent failure. So how exactly did you fight your way this far?" He said, "All right, meet me on the rooftop after school tomorrow. I'll tell you everything, just the two of us, where no one else can disturb us." And thus, this chapter draws to a close. Stay tuned to discover what unfolds next in the story. In the meantime, why not explore my other videos? Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more captivating stories. Your support means the world to me.